did end up applying to jobs that I've had before. I got denied. I said, well, goddamn, ain't this about a bitch?
Ah, hell, it's about to get real.
Okay, so first time on the road. Welcome to Digressive Diaries, a safe space for the random ramblings of a millennial with ADHD, navigating with no GPS, so help me God. This is for the black sheep, the outcast, and the badass. Welcome home. This is not a regular YouTube channel. This is my life, and you are now a part of my tribe, so feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate that. So anyways, I'm on the road. I'm heading home. I only have an hour and 20 minutes left. I'm coming home from Panama City. I went to go visit my cousins for their child's first birthday, and it was a quick trip. I literally got there yesterday. I'm coming back today. I'm really happy that I did that because I love my cousins so much, and I'm happy to support and be present for a milestone like this. It's a year of, you know, parenthood for them and a year of existence for this cute little baby. So I know I threw a picture somewhere here so you guys can see. So I'm really happy that I did get that time. I love road trips. I cannot do more than 5 hours, my love. I do not like that, but I like them for the ability to clear my mind, to process some thoughts. And so I would have hoped that entry 4 would have been me celebrating potentially getting this new job. Maybe that'll be an entry 5 thing, but because it is Sunday, here is the counter for when I move out. Okay, the movers come on Tuesday. Okay, and this is it. I think I'm processing a lot of things. I've been talking to my friends lately about how much of a mixed bag of feelings I feel. It's very overwhelming. It's a big transition. You saw in the previous entries, you know, what space I'm moving from and what space I'm moving to, and why that's so much of a big transition for me. Obviously, I'm living with 2 senior citizens who are fully retired and available to be in my business. It's so different for a lot of other reasons, and I'm sure I'll get into that more in depth in some future entries. But I'm feeling a lot of things, and on this road trip, I am getting to process. I did not hear back from that job, and it's a little annoying because, you know, they came out of nowhere. 4 months after I applied, they reached out, virtually interviewed me quite quickly, got me in person quite quickly, told me I would hear back, you know, in the following week, because they want someone to start on the 16th. And here we are. Today is the 8th. It's Sunday the 8th, and I didn't hear anything this past week. So of course, I felt like the interview went really well. I felt like they really liked me, but it is kind of annoying that I didn't hear back yet. I did follow up. I don't even like doing that. Let me know down below if this is a practice. I know some people are like, yo, that's customary. I was like, I don't like doing it because it's like, do you want me or not? Like, I don't want to feel like I'm begging for a job that y'all already know I need. But I followed up on Friday afternoon and didn't hear anything back by the end of business day. So I'm just kind of like, I did what I could at this point. Potentially I'll hear back this upcoming week, but as of now, I have to continue to think about this transition in my life without contemplating this new job. And that's fine, because that's what I was gonna do before, but I just think it's a little annoying because I wasn't thinking about them. I wasn't thinking about no damn job, and I wasn't thinking about whether or not I got it. And so I feel like sometimes we have to remember that, like, there's a lot of stress that sometimes gets created out of nowhere. Like, I wasn't worried about whether or not I was good enough to get this position, or if this position was for me or not, until they came back around. I surely forgot about them. In the 4 months that damn went by, I was not thinking about them. So it's kind of annoying to be in this place, but I'm also, sorry y'all, my lips are dry, but I promise I'm driving very safely. I'm on a decent road. But yeah, it's kind of annoying that I even have a job to even think about in the midst of such a big transition. I just know how much it'll help me and how much more quickly I will get through, you know, the debt that I have to pay off, which we have discussed only like lightly. I'll talk about it in a future episode. I'll sit down and be like, all right, now that we are fully moved, this is what we're working with. In a future entry, we'll get into the details of that. And I will kind of have these episodes eventually categorized, because I will be sharing all different kinds of journeys, like I've said before. But I'm just annoyed. It's a little frustrating, the unknown, the uncertainty of it all. But one thing I do know, I like to remind myself of, like, my foundational beliefs is that I know only the best will come to fruition for me. I know that I will be wherever I'm supposed to be. So if I am meant to be in this role, it will be mine. So I'll be updating you guys about that. But the uncertainty is kind of cumbersome. Like, I want to feel excited about knowing that I landed something. But something that did give me some comfort is I got a reading because one of my clients shared about this Etsy reader that was, I mean, it was phenomenal. When she read to me what the woman said, I was like, I need her information like yesterday. So I got like a love reading and a career reading. And in this entry, I'll just share a little bit about that since I'm talking about my feelings about the unknown and right before this move. And in another entry, we'll talk about relationships and stuff. But yeah, in the career reading, you know, she definitely read me for filth when it came to, you know, having these great ideas, knowing what where my power lies, but not executing. So she was like, you know, a lot more will flow abundance wise when I am executing on the ideas that I have and not just like lingering, waiting to feel more confident and etc. And I was like, okay, a read, because there are so many different workbooks and book ideas and whatnot that I will think on, that I'll even start to design, and then I'll just kind of get stumped. I've thought about a whole accountability group and accountability program, but I'll feel a little scared and I won't fully execute on it and really market it and whatnot. And something that she did tell me, because I asked about, you know, I asked to get some clarity on whether or not this was the right decision to go back into higher education while still doing my entrepreneurship on the side. And she confirmed that, you know, that is definitely not a step in the wrong direction. You need a regulated nervous system to be able to manifest certain things, and you can't do that when you are in panic. You can't do that when you're fully reliant on entrepreneurship. Like entrepreneurship thrives when you have a healthy nervous system. If you need your entrepreneurship to have the healthy nervous system, like it's like you're creating a system that's dependent on itself, and it's like, no. So she's like, there's nothing wrong with getting yourself back stable again so that you can feel better, so that you can be in a better space. And I think we all need to hear that sometimes, that it is okay to start over. Of course, I'm applying to jobs that I could have gotten, you know, even without the additional degree, but it's not about that. It's not about what it looks on the outside, because I think sometimes we allow ourselves to get so concerned with what the optics look like. That's the word. A lot of people are concerned with the optics, and because of that, they feel a way about having to go back to an old job or go back to an old position that they had or an old environment that they once could be in. I had a hard time coming to terms with the fact that I had to Uber just to make ends meet when it came to like keeping my apartment and whatnot. Baby, if you got an Uber to make them bills, get your ass behind the wheel. Hey, how are you? Let me know if you need to adjust the temperature. And anything you want to listen to, you just let me know, okay? All right, wonderful. But baby, I will get into that mode. At the end of the day, I have walked dogs. I have driven Uber. Child, I have virtually cuddled. We will talk about that in another entry. If you're curious about that, you're gonna have to comment down below. But I am not above getting the money I need when it comes to getting the things I need and making making my expenses and whatever that life adjustment looks like. I have had to swallow it, and that's been very difficult because I felt like it was such a long journey to get my master's degree, and I'll talk about that in a future entry. So you need to make sure that you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, like, cousin, what are we doing? But like, it was such a long journey for me to get here. I kind of felt like, yo, I wasn't meant to be going backwards and going back into higher ed. It was supposed to be therapy and everything, you know, and it's to the moon after that, not going back. But when I think about it, it is such a luxury to work a job that doesn't feel like a job. I'm happy to know a couple different roles that feel like that for me, that feel comfortable for me to work. So I did end up applying to jobs that I've had before. I got the nod. I said, well, goddamn, ain't this about a bitch? Like, I done applied to a job that I've had before, and you know, a lot of people have done like moved out, so it has nothing to do with like people being there or not. But like, it's just so crazy that sometimes we'll take rejection and we'll think, oh, you know, we're just not worthy. And it's like, baby, I know I'm overqualified for a lot of these jobs that I've applied for. And I don't say this from a hoity-toity, like I'm all that in a bag of chips, kettle cooked. But I say it from no, I know I can do these jobs. I know I'm well qualified for them. So it's so important that we remember that the jobs that we don't get have nothing to do with our worthiness. Hell, we wouldn't apply if we weren't eligible. I think we have to remember that. Two, it's a numbers game at the end of the day. You're not going to get a call back even when you are eligible and qualified. And just because you interview at a place and it goes really well does not mean you're going to get it. I had an interview at an institution I won't name, and I was so excited. I put together such a great presentation. It was actually like hilarious, if I do say so myself. I superimposed my face on like the Priceline negotiator person, on what's that woman's name, Kamala Harris, on Woody, like just to speak to like who I would be in every aspect of the role, just to bring some humor into it. And the team ate it up. They were just so happy, I got ghosted. I was like, I had to go online just to find out that the position was filled. And I was like, rude. So of course there's a part of me that's like, damn, like what if this happens again with this job? But it's like, at the end of the day, I know that what's for me is not at all going to miss me. So it's so important that we don't question whether or not we're worthy. It's like you're eligible for the jobs you apply for. You're qualified, especially if they interview you. They wouldn't be talking to anyone they didn't think would be qualified. Sometimes it's just about fit. And for a lot of reasons, we have to remember that, yes, we want the check, but we don't want every environment that gives us a check. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to remember that and affirm myself and trust that like what's meant for me will be for me, especially because sometimes there are people that we are connected to that we can't meet if we're not in the right environment, and if we don't sometimes take a step back to lunge forward. So I'm just here processing thoughts on what setbacks mean, what the great resets in Marsha's life looks like. And I think what I'm trying to remind myself is that what would be great is to hit my 10-year anniversary in Atlanta and be in a completely different headspace, be in a completely different financial space, whether I'm getting my apartment on in the beginning of that year in 2027 or what. Like I pray that my debt is like completely paid off by then. I pray that like I have a savings, that I'm all paid up with taxes and this and that and the third. I really want to be in a better predicament before I get into another lease. So I cannot wait to share more of that journey with you guys. But I just am sharing my real raw thoughts on what it looks like to just be in this space. And as a person who is often sharing from the headspace of you can do it, like just stay focused, like I'm also really human, and I tell people, hey, it's okay to feel frustrated, it's okay to feel like you're going backwards. Sometimes it's just about it's what your ego feels in a moment. And I know that at the end of the day, long-term wise, this is going to be better for me. And bridging the gap between short-term pleasure that my ego is all and like quick to be impulsive about versus long-term safety, security,
and happiness. Yeah, get off my ass. Like, you're on my ass with your fucking pickup truck, and you're only gonna be stuck in front of that truck. And I should really get in front of you to make sure, you jackass, only for you to do this. You're gonna just do this all on fucking 85.
Anyways, rant over. It is just so important that we bridge that gap as much as possible so that our ego doesn't run our lives and ruin our lives. Because if we are not mindful, we'll be living only thinking about our short-term joy, short-term like those dopamine hits, and we'll never make decisions that will truly take care of a future version of ourselves. Because I know that if I were making decisions that took care of this version of myself, I would not be I would be probably coming out of living with my great aunt. I wouldn't have gotten into as much debt, and I would have already been inching my way into I'll just be in a different predicament. But I wasn't thinking like that. That is my challenge now. And at 33, with this many days until I turn 34, I'm all about becoming a better version of myself. This is what I preach. This is what I practice. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for reading my diary, and for being a part of this community, and being a part of me being intentional with getting these episodes out, being consistent with this new YouTube channel. I really appreciate you guys, because every subscriber affirms me and affirms me that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, sharing my life, which I hope can encourage someone who's also on a similar journey. So of course, please feel free to share. If you had to go backwards to go forwards, please share with me how that worked out. But I'm going to focus and take the rest of this hour to just breathe, feel my feelings, listen to J. Cole's new album, and yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you guys. Bye.